Here are 10 things that you probably didn't know about Entry Point. Number 1. The Jackdaw cutscene used to be multiplayer. The cutscenes in Entry Point are all single player, meaning that there's only one player per server. However, when the Jackdaw cutscene first came out, Sish accidentally made it so several players could join the same server. This was a simple mistake and it was fixed pretty quickly, but it did result in some really unusual glitches. When this happened, I took this screenshot which shows Grandfire 1's character on my screen. What's even funnier is that some people's screens show their character right in front of the truck, which implied that they were about to get run over. And honestly, at first, I thought Sashado was just trolling us, but it ended up being a glitch. Number 2. The fake SCRS teasers. The missions in EP were not released in chronological order, which means that while the main story was still in development, we didn't know which mission was coming next. Sish decided to troll the community by making teasers that hinted at the SCRS, but were actually about something totally unrelated. This one had a file called Sacramento CRS, this one had the phrase research site, which fits the last two letters of SCRS, and this one had a Caesar cipher, which mentions the SCRS. According to the Shadow, every teaser has mockingly hinted at the SCRS in some way, though I had a hard time finding old teasers. Number 3. Name changes. Some missions and cutscenes used to have different names. Critical used to be called Ops. Payoff used to be called Allegiance, Black Dusk used to be called The Black Dusk, but Sish removed the article, probably to make it consistent with Black Dawn. And finally, the Black Site used to be called Jailbreak. Some people speculate that it was changed because it had the same name as the popular Roblox game, Jailbreak. While it's true that this was likely a reason, I have a different theory. I believe that the name was changed after Sish came up with the idea of Steel Cove, which brings me to my next point. Number 4. The origin of Steel Cove. Sish said in the wiki that Steel Cove didn't exist until they needed an enemy for the Black Site. This suggests that Steel Cove wasn't meant to be all that important in the story. Also, Steel Cove is based on the private military company once known as Blackwater. According to Sish, it was originally going to be called Black Cove, but it was changed due to the word black already being overused. When Sish changed the name, they didn't even realize the similarity to the SCRS, which means that they trolled the entire community without even trying. Number 5. The Night Heist leaking early. The Night Heist expansion was released on November 29, 2019, but you need the Night Heist Game Pass to actually play it. However, on the day before they were released, the Night Heist leaked early, with certain users sharing images of the expansion on Discord before it was even announced. This was because Sish accidentally gave access to a different Game Pass. Sish was not happy about this, and they deleted every single message relating to this leak, but some people still remember the incident. Number 6. Red Herrings. Sish added a bunch of encrypted messages which don't actually mean anything and serve no purpose other than deception. For instance, the Financier has a lot of complex details and decorations. One of these has Morse code, but it doesn't translate into any real word. Also, there's a lot of different numbers and codes throughout the maps, like this one in the SCRS. It makes you wonder whether this is just a red herring or whether Sish is trying to tell us something that we're missing. Number 7. The story of the SCRS code. Out of all the lock codes, the SCRS code is probably the most interesting. One day, someone was reading about Cicada3301 on the internet, and they wondered what would happen if they entered it into the lock. This was actually the SCRS code before Sish decided to change it, which means it was essentially found through luck. The Cicada program described in the file seems to refer to the actual Cicada3301 organization, which means that in the story, this was just a hiring tool used by Halcyon, and that this is how Rose was hired. Number 8. The lock spoiling the story. Several parts of the story had already been laid out before they were even released. For example, the catch code, which was implemented before the scientist was released, pretty much spoils the entire story of the scientist but for some reason, almost no one found it until long after The Scientist was released. The code in the financier also partially spoils Ashes. Also, the very first lock code talks about Project Onyx, which is a black stone. This means you could have figured out that the Dawn Valley research was in the lake house just from the name of the badge. Number 9. Roblox HQ. The withdrawal has an interesting building off to the side, which is actually a reference to the Roblox HQ in San Mateo, California, since it's fairly close to San Francisco, where the withdrawal takes place. Also, I was the first known person to figure this out, so get flexed on. Hashtag Builderman is my dad. Subscribe or else he'll delete your characters. Number 10. The date of the Killhouse. On June 25th, 2020, Sashado edited the Killhouse page on the wiki. They changed the date to say after epilogue. This suggests that not only is the Killhouse canon, but it's also some sort of post-death experience, since the freelancer and Rose are both gone by that point. I'm currently working on a Killhouse theory to explain all of this. Although the video might take a while, I've already discussed part of the theory in my Discord server. If you want to get early access to what I've come up with so far, and potentially influence the next video, then make sure to join my Discord server. Also, if you like this video, then make sure to comment #Sparrow did nothing wrong. I'll see you guys next time.